I'm live. Hi, folks. Welcome to Sunday Shirtless, the only talk show where I inexplicably take a 3 to 4 week break, um, and tell no one. And look at that, no one missed me. Not because I'm not cool, but because I have 0 followers. Um, I'm 10 weeks post-op. I feel amazing. I feel like myself. I feel more comfortable. And some part of me is like, that's a little weird and fishy that this one thing could really make everything feel more balanced to me. Okay. So it's not to say that everything in my life has changed, but there are just these small moments of confidence that I think allow me to move through the world with more alignment with who I am and who I want to be. Um, the reason it's been so long is because I it's been a rough go for a bit here for me. I am outspoken about my activism in this world, and I am pretty consistent with what I am selling and what I'm not selling. Sorry, what I'm like pitching for my what I think is valuable, which is like care and compassion and equity and anti-colonial, anti-racist work, which is stuff that my employer had insinuated was true about them as well. But I've been severely punished for speaking up about things that I believe in. For instance, the fact that there should not be a genocide happening in Gaza, and it's pretty appalling the lengths we will all go to forgive violence against brown people. Because that really feels like part of what this is. Like this, there's been 20 years of dehumanizing these people, and by these people I mean Arab, Middle Eastern, North African. But there's been a 20, as far as I know, probably longer than 23 years. I'm thinking pre 9/11, but frankly, I was alive, but I wasn't very aware. Anyway, point is, the history of violence in the Middle East and violence from colonial powers like the U.S. against people in the Middle East is really long, and we use all this subtle, not so subtle, propagandic um, messaging about people from Arab countries, and that's allowing us to all turn our heads away from what's happening. And I think if there were 40,000 white people dying, you wouldn't be looking away. So I have to start with that because basically communicating that kind of thing had got me sacked. Now, the thing about getting sacked for something that you stand by is there's this weird feeling of conflict because you're like, well, I'm sad that I got fired, but I'm really proud of myself for standing up for what I believe in. So I'm sad that there's anyone out there who has the power to like take my job away, especially for doing something that I think is totally aligned with my values and the stated values of a school. Um, and yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Speaking up shouldn't have gotten me fired, but I also critiqued the administration quite a bit. But you know what? Maybe you should treat people better. Just my thought. Point is, I'm out of there. I'm no longer working. I mean, I'm paid through the summer, but um, I have a lot more spaciousness to write right now and perform and host. And it's weird how much easier it is to handle setback when you feel that you have been consistent in who you are, and you've spoken truth to power, and you've said what you believe in. I think that the fact that I feel proud of myself and that I feel that I've done something that felt good and according to the ways that I said that I would carry myself in the world. Honestly, it's kind of cool. And I can't be mad at myself at all, and that's a really, really beautiful feeling, right? I don't have regrets. Do I wish that I could have gone about things slightly differently that would have ended up me being happier? Sure, but this was not the place for that, which is sad. And also, I left a tiny little mark, for my brief period that I was there. There's a lot of backstory that I'm purposely withholding so that I don't out anyone or any entity, but here we are. Point is, I've been hanging out with myself more in a way that also feels really good, in terms of I've been saying that I need certain things and saying that I want certain things and asking people to give them to me, not in a, like, harsh way, but in a kind way. I threw myself a birthday party, and I was like, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna spend 20 minutes on stage," which, isn't really that much when you think about it, but it is a lot if you have friends who aren't used to performances. But basically like a 20-minute, like I told some stories and I sang some songs and I was like, this is literally my dream party. Is where I get to do some karaoke and some storytelling and make my friends laugh and cry a lot because I'm talking about hard things. And it was the most beautiful, sensational evening I've ever been a part of in my entire life. So um, that's why I'm kind of like, wow, I kind of been asking for what I need and getting what I need and plodding away and yeah, I really am happy about that. Um okay. Next on the docket. I think that's got to be it. I The messaging that I'm wanting to share is like, oh, when you can honor yourself and you will be able to withhold no withstand a lot more. So resilience is something that is talked about a lot and is lauded as like, yeah, you have to be resilient. But I want us to be mindful about who we ask to be resilient and what resilience means for those folks. So, um, obviously, all marginalized people are resilient. We have to be because our only other option is to kind of succumb to erasure. And that's not an option because we can't live that way. The only real way is for us to be free. Um, Point is that I I think that there's I did lose my train of thought just now. Well, I think that the point is that when you can minimize the distance, and this is something my friend told me that I'm really interested in, but like if you can minimize the distance between what you value and what you think of for yourself as like valuable in your standards, um, the more you can get align yourself with those, the more other things will just become part of our external fabric of of our story, right? They're not. It's just not. We mustn't internalize it. But the idea of I remember I was talking about resilience. Um, it is hard to be resilient in plentitude when the world is constantly bombarding you with small little acts of violence, right? So um, it's when we ask for resilience from someone who is experiencing everyday tiny traumas because they're being they're facing microaggressions, right? And I don't everyone's like now suddenly liberal snowflakes, oh microaggressions, but it's like we don't need to demonize the idea of a microaggression, right? Like I can experience one microaggression in a day and I'm okay, right? I'm gonna survive. Um, but if I just keep hearing it again and again, my tank is just empty, and so I really need other people to lift me up and see me. And so I think that the more you can minimize those microaggressions, the more you can take on. And that's why we all need to do this together and understand that resilience is contextual. And we need to stop applauding people for resilience and start trying to question why they need so much of it. And I'm pretty sure I read that on Instagram. So I'm if anyone, no one here, but I'm willing to learn who that source is so that I can credit them. All right, that's all for me. That's Sunday Shirtless, week 10. See you next time.